we go.
Yeah, so I'm Yancey, and let's talk about Rick Ross. Rick Ross is a very famous rapper who earlier this year had the #1 record in the country. It was called Deeper Than Rap. And the week the album came out, Rick Ross did an in-store signing at a Best Buy in Midtown Manhattan. Now, at the time I worked in an office directly across the street. Or try again. Alright, this will be better. So I worked directly across the street from this Best Buy in Midtown Manhattan, and Rick Ross was doing an in-store signing there. And there were these signings every week, whatever the hot record was. These poor kids would line up from the crack of dawn or the night before to meet Christina Aguilera for 2 seconds. And so the day of the Rick Ross signing, I happened to look out of my window and noticed that there was no one there. Never seen that before. Thought enough of it that I took a picture of it here. Went back to work, looked out my window at 1 o'clock, and still, there was nobody there. At this point, it was kind of like a thing, you know? And so I started watching and looking for activity. And finally, about 4 o'clock, I saw someone. Someone had finally shown up. So I went down to see who it was. And it was just a Rick Ross cardboard cutout, which outnumbered actual Rick Ross fans 1-0. And so finally, the event was at 7. How many people show up to meet the #1 artist in the country? Well, I got bored, and I left at 6:30. But when I left, here was the turnout. #1 artist in the country, New York City. So you have to ask yourself, what has gone so wrong if this is where we are? And there are a lot of things. More things than we can possibly talk about here. But the one I want to really focus on is the disconnect between artists and fans. And that sounds counterintuitive, because all we hear about is the power of Twitter and Facebook and MySpace, and it's very powerful for sure. Rosie was absolutely right. But those interactions that we're having are trivial. They're meaningless. There's nothing of value being exchanged. It's just promotional crosstalk and nothing more. But in the past, we didn't have any direct connection at all. It was all long-distance love. You know, we had no hope of interacting with our favorite stars, but we didn't care. We still loved them. We cared more. And we knew what our favorite musicians looked like. We thought about them as people. You know, the whole thing with Kiss was that no one knew what they looked like. That was the whole shtick. And now, if you pulled out your iPod now and started scrolling through and tried to figure out how many people you could identify by sight, I'm guessing less than 30%. I tried it, that's what I had. So the question is, how do we get that emotional connection to the past, but use it with sort of these technological opportunities that we have now? I think there are 2 ways that you do that.